Welcome back to the channel. My name's Adil and today is all about the BMW M135i, and this car we are about to say goodbye to awful rattles and a hell of a lot of road noise.
This customer's brought his car in essentially for soundproofing for road noise, so that will entail on this job we'll be soundproofing all the door card panels, the doors, on the floor, seats out, carpets out, the rear doors, the boot panels, pretty much all of the car basically. But in addition to that, we also will remove the wheels and also soundproof inside the wheel arches, because that's where most of the road noise from a vehicle will come from and start to. So the soundproofing we're going to be using will be the same as with everything else. We'll be using the Skins 3mm layer, which is an aluminium foil with a bitumen back on the layer. We'll be fastening that to all the different panels, even onto the plastics. The benefit of the road noise as well reduction is it's going to make the car quieter, smoother. The quieter you make the car, a side effect of that is he's also going to get a slight improvement to the audio. Now the Harman Kardon in the car, this has got a standard, he's a fairly decent sounding to start with. It's not going to be the same sort of thing as aftermarket products, but the soundproofing will help firm up some of that low frequency in the car, and the more noise you can keep out of the car, the more stereo you hear in the car. So there's a little side effect, you get a little bit of improvement from your audio as well. So the first part of the job today is to strip the doors down and then get the doors soundproof. So you've taken one door card off now, and we'll be doing now the extra doors, to get rid of that tinny sound in the doors, and moving on to all four doors and then going on from there.
So the car is all complete. As you guys have seen in today's video, a hell of a lot of work has gone into this car. Firstly, let's tell you what the client was after. So this client actually owned a similar car to this before he bought the M135i, and what he basically noticed, I mean, he had quite a lot of road noise problems in that car as well, and it was something that was bothering him with that car. When he moved over to this car, this was dramatically worse for him. So when he was driving down the road, it was really bugging him, that the road noise, just the overall noise in the whole vehicle. He was actually happy with the Harman Kardon system that was already in the vehicle, so sonically he was fine with that, and that's absolutely fine. However, that road noise was battling against the sound for him, even things like hands-free calls, just general driving down the road. It was just, especially on motorways, becoming very difficult for him to drive. So this is very common, and actually getting even more common on cars, and you've seen a lot of content on probably our Instagram, our TikTok pages, where we showcase the sound deadening work that we do, and it's basically a foundation part of doing a sound system upgrade. However, we are actually keeping the original sound system in the car, the factory Harman Kardon system. So you can do it in two ways. You can do it with a full sound system. It does work out more cost effective to do it that way, to add more sound deadening to a vehicle, or you can do it in this route where we're just going in and sound deadening the vehicle. Okay, so with this as a solution, we're using a couple of different products here, but the main one we're using is the Skins 3mm layer, okay? So what that is basically it deadens a panel. It gets rid of resonation from factory panels. So for example, on the door here, what you've actually got is basically just a very large sheet of metal here, and what it does is it basically deadens that panel. It gives that panel more support and less flex. That's the whole idea of it. So when basically sound waves, so this is more for audio, so when sound waves are smashing against this panel on the inside of it, where your speaker is, for example, it means that you haven't got that wobble in the panel, which means you get a better, say for example, mid-bass response. So this will actually improve the sound system and mid-bass response in the vehicle, not dramatically because you're not really changing too much, but you're handling sound waves a lot better inside the vehicle. So we're keeping sound inside the car that we want to in terms of that acoustic sound. That is why it's such a foundation layer for when we do a sound system. But is making that panel, which used to be very flimsy, now a lot more solid. So there's a few areas that we've covered, well, most of the car we covered. There's a few areas we haven't covered on the car. One area is behind the dashboard that we haven't covered, and we haven't covered the bonnet, okay? There are options to do things like bumpers and things like that, but as a general rule of thumb, we cover certain key areas first, and then we move on to other areas. So for road noise reduction, where I normally start is across the side of the vehicle. So we start with the doors, doing the 4 doors, then we move on to do the boot area. So once the front doors, rear doors and boot area are complete, we then move on to doing wheel arches. So this involves heading the car over onto our ramp, where we remove the wheels and we do the arch liners as well as behind the arches. With a front wheel, you can't actually get too many sheets into that, mostly because this goes into, in essence, engine bay, and you've got the firewall, which is about here. So you don't get too many sheets into that area. However, this area here, you get a hell of a lot of impact on. So we're able to put quite a lot of sheets onto rear wheels, front wheels, not as much, but still worth doing because we can still do things like wheel arch liners as well. So it's very important that when you're covering that area of the car, that's kind of my main area that I want to focus on when I'm looking at road noise reduction, but also acoustics in the vehicle. Obviously your speakers are in your door, so it's important that you cover those areas. Obviously if you've got a sub in the car, this car doesn't, but if you had a sub in the car, covering that area is obviously important because you're moving more sound waves with the new system. This car is obviously using just the original, but this job was done on a road noise reduction basis. So covering that area is kind of the most important parts, and then we move on to other areas. We then move on to places like underneath the floor plan of the vehicle, and then also the roof area, which obviously, as you've seen in today's video, has fully been covered. So it's always a bit of a guesstimation when we price up for these sorts of things, and if you're interested in having this solution added, feel free to reach out to me and I'll go through some options for your car. But in terms of the solution that we've got in here, so originally we allocated 120 sheets of skins 3mm to this project. We actually ended up using 124. When we reached the 120, we had a few areas left. We called the client and said, would you like us to complete and finish this? Would you like us to stop where we are? We added on the extra 4 sheets as the client requested, and then we are now complete. So 124 sheets have gone in to this size car. Most cars are very similar. Obviously the bigger the car, you're gonna get more sheets. If you've got things like a sunroof, obviously a few less. If you've got a panoramic roof, obviously less, because we're not able to do as much in the roof area. But not only is it really important that we're obviously applying the materials, it's very, very important the level of detail that our team go to, and you've seen the level of detail that our strip down has happened in today's video. But the level of checks that we go through, obviously we go through and check the car beforehand in our pre-inspection, and then other post checks. Obviously the engineer that does the work, so Steve on this occasion does his post checks on the car, and then post that we then have another engineer go through and check everything in a lot more detail, and I'll in essence do a full another inspection and document that on the group chat that we've created for the car. So everything is documented, organized. We can see any issues that were on the car beforehand. We can see that everything is whatever is rectified, and also whatever we have done hasn't caused any further issues with the car. So it's a very, very thorough process that we go to, as you've seen in today's video, but the road noise reduction on this car is absolutely huge. I'm sure some of you will be asking us to have a before and after listening. Not always possible. We are asking some clients that are having this done now if we're okay to do that and record and film that process, and we actually did post a recent-ish video on a Lexus, and maybe we'll put that in the description or something, and that actually had client gave us authority to drive the vehicle, and we basically drove the car beforehand, after, and you could see the difference. Obviously every car is different, and someone emailed me the other day saying what is the exact difference on my particular car if I add 20 sheets or 100 sheets. There is no way to give you an exact figure on a decibel level of what it will be as a difference from your car and what you're after. So you need to basically understand that it is a little bit of guesswork, it is a little bit of trust, but we wouldn't be doing this and on repeat number of cars. That Lexus video, for example, I think that's probably his 8th or so car that we've done for him, and he has exactly the same thing, full vehicle sound deadening, every inch covered. And why would you have the same thing done 8 times if it didn't make a difference? So it's a real balance of getting it right, but the level of detail that we go to, tightening all the screws as we go, cloth taping all the clips, building the car how it should have been built from factory, but is never going to be able to be built like that from factory. It's now got that Cambridge car audio touch, and this vehicle is now completely deadened. Thank you so much for watching. Hopefully you guys have enjoyed it, and I'll see you on the next one.